Hi, second grade, Ms. Fryvogel here. Today you will need a pencil and a notebook or a piece of paper for our lesson. We're going to be looking at reading with the appropriate pronunciation today. Pronunciation is the correct way in which a word is spoken. It's how you say the word correctly. Pronunciation is a very important part of reading because we want to make sure we know that we are saying the correct words. When we start to read informational texts or texts that give us a lot of information or facts, they usually have more difficult words. So when we see these more difficult words, especially in informational texts, we need to make sure we correctly pronounce them. So some things we can slow down when reading so we don't get tripped up on the words. We can reread any of the words a couple times just to make sure we're saying it correctly. And we can make sure we are correcting ourselves anytime we need to when we're reading. All right, we have two informational texts to look at today. We're going to break them down. I'm going to read half of them with you. Then you're going to try and practice the other half on your own. I'm going to model for you the correct way to figure out and pronounce any difficult words you may find. So the key is to take it slow, to reread when you need to, and to correct yourself anytime you may mess up. Our title is You Can Recycle. Recycle. Here's a riddle. What can you use over and over again? And, all right, this word looks kind of tricky. Let's take our time. Aluminum. Aluminum. An aluminum can. In fact, about half of the aluminum cans you see in the grocery store are recycled. As little as 60 days ago, that aluminum can in the store could have been part of some other can in some other store. If you buy that can, empty it, and recycle it, it could be part of another aluminum can 60 days from now. All right, so I did take my time. I read a little bit slower than I usually would, and I made sure to pause a little bit before any of the words that might have been tricky. Go ahead and try to read out loud paragraphs 3 and 4 by yourself, making sure to pronounce any of the words in them. Click play when you are finished. All right, let's go ahead and read paragraphs 3 and 4 one more time. I will read it out loud. Recycling aluminum cans saves energy. Making a can out of recycled aluminum uses only a small part of the energy it takes to make a can out of new aluminum. Recycling saves energy and money, and it cuts down on waste. Recycling aluminum makes sense no matter how you look at it. The word aluminum is really tricky, right? So if I read it really fast, I could say it or pronounce it incorrectly. So if I said recycling aluminum, it doesn't really make any sense. That's why when we read and we want to make sure we're pronouncing correctly, we have to slow down, right? Recycling aluminum sounds so much better than any sort of the gibberish that comes out when you say it too fast. All right, let's go down to our next text. For this one, I want you to write down any words that took time for you to pronounce. So in the first text, we had aluminum and recycle took a little bit of time to pronounce. So this time, I want you to think about any names of any places or cities or even oceans that maybe took you a little bit of time to pronounce so that you said it correctly. We're going to read every other paragraph together. For each paragraph, if I'm writing it reading it or you're reading it, please make sure you write down any words that took you a little bit of extra time to pronounce. All right, our text is about the Titanic. I'll read the first paragraph. The RMS Titanic was a cruise ship that sank in the North Atlantic Ocean on April 5th, 1912. It is one of the deadliest ship disasters in history. Okay, go ahead, pause the video, read the second paragraph. Make sure to make note of any of the words that were difficult for you to pronounce. Click play when you're ready to go over that paragraph. All right, let's reread this paragraph one more time. For its first trip, Titanic was to sail from Southampton, England, to New York City, USA. At the time, it was the largest ship ever built. The ship even had watertight compartments for safety. Many thought Titanic was unsinkable. The ship left Southampton on April 10th, 1912. There were 2,435 people on board. So I'm going to highlight some of the words in this paragraph that took me a second to pronounce. My first one was this place, Southampton. And the next one, watertight. It was a little bit hard for me to pronounce that one. It's a compound word, and once I realized that, I was able to say it. Compartments. That was another one I really had to take time to sound out. And sometimes you have to repeat the word a couple times until you realize what the word is. And unsinkable was a little bit hard for me just because it had prefix and a suffix on it. All right, I'll read the next paragraph. On April 14th, Titanic hit an iceberg. Over the next 2.5 hours, the ship filled with water and sank. There were not enough lifeboats for everyone. Some people were able to get into lifeboats, but many were not. Those in the water died within minutes because the water temperature was 28 degrees. There were 710 survivors and over 1,500 who lost their lives. The loss of the Titanic shocked the world. The word temperature, that one took me a little bit to realize. When I saw it, it looked like a really big word, so I was really nervous to read it. And then once I read it a couple times, I knew what it was. Go ahead and read this next paragraph by yourself. Titanic wasn't seen again, and click play when you're ready to review it. Okay, let's reread. Titanic wasn't seen again until September 1st, 1985, when a team found where it was in the ocean. It sits over 2.5 miles deep on the ocean floor. That paragraph wasn't too bad. Let's keep reading our last paragraph. Today's ships are much safer because of what was learned from the Titanic. Titanic's story lives on through books, movies, memorials, and museums. This paragraph, memorials, was a little bit of a tongue twister for me, and museums took a little bit of time too. All right, we made it through 2 informational texts working on our pronunciation. Great job today. Make sure anytime you're reading and working on your pronunciation that you take time and you slow down, reread if you need to, and always make sure to correct yourself if you make a mistake. I'll see you soon.